Okay, now that you have all the information typed into each slide on your presentation, now it's time to do the builds and transitions. Okay, so what we need to do is go to the inspector. The inspector could be found in the upper right hand side of your Keynote window. However, if your window is decreased in size, such as this, if the window is crunched, you can see some of the things, some of the objects on the toolbar disappear. All I have to do is either pull it out to the right hand side by adjusting the window, or I can hit this double arrow right here on the upper right hand side and select the inspector. When the inspector window opens, I will notice that there is a list of buttons across the top right here. And the first one is Document Inspector, Slide Inspector. Obviously, you will be using some of these, maybe not all of them. To do the transitions, which I'm currently working on, I want to be in the Slide Inspector. So click here on the Slide Inspector where you see my mouse. Now below you will see a preview window, and it will let you see what the transition will look like in progress. So here's a little preview of the slide I'm on, which is slide 1. So now I just click on Effect, and I choose an effect, and right here it'll show me what that effect will do to the slide. You don't want to have your effects go for too long, okay, or your transitions to last too long, as that will become distracting to the audience. So go through the transitions, the effects, and you could also adjust them from left to right. So go through, play with the effects for a little while, and see which one you like best. Then once you have that effect, you should be using that same effect for all the slides 2, 3, 4, and 5. This way, again, it's not distracting to the audience if they see a consistent slide transition throughout the presentation. On choosing the exact same transition for all the slides, you will notice that there is a little corner triangle in each slide, and that will show me that I do have a transition on each slide. So my agenda is to add builds. So I'm going to scroll across the button bar on the top of the inspector window here, and as you will see, I will look for the build inspector that looks just like this little diamond shape. Click on it, and you will see build in. I'm going to start off on the first slide here. Click on the first slide, and I want to build in the name. Okay, so I click on the name here in the presentation. I have to select what I want to build in first. So I click on my name, and it highlights the boxes around, and now I can add a build. So I can add an effect, and it will show me what the effect will look like when I run the slide then. Again, in this case, there are a number of options, including the duration. Some of the builds happen very quickly, so if you would want to just build them up, don't make them too long though, again, distracting to the audience. Okay, so select your builds in. I wouldn't do build out though. Use the transitions to take you from one slide to the next. Use the transitions there, not the build out. The build out becomes very tedious and laborious. The only time that you would use a build out is if you wanted one thing to come in and then leave again, and then the next thing to come in, so that the audience can concentrate on just one thing at a time. But that won't be the case in your slideshow presentation. So just do build-ins. So now I have my builds I have my build for the title here. Now I need to build in your birthday, or you need to build in your birthday. Again, build in, select another one, and once again, you may want to stay consistent throughout the slides using the exact same build for every slide. This way, again, the audience does not get distracted with fancy builds and fancy transitions, and they don't pay attention to what you're saying anymore. You want the focus to be on you, the presenter, not the presentation. So try not to get too flashy, but then again, make it interesting. On slides 2 through 5, you really don't need to build in the title, because the transition will go from one title into the next title. Okay, so the title can appear without build. However, the items or the bullets down here you do want built in. So we're going to go to the build inspector again, and we're going to again select the exact same build that you used in the first slide. Whatever you used, you should be using the same one for this one. And then obviously the delivery, you want to come in by the bullet right here, because you want each one to come in, as you see across the top here, to come in separately. This will give you enough time to allow you to talk about each item individually as you're doing your presentation. You don't want all the items coming in at once, because then again it may become distracting to the audience. You want them to focus on the first word, let's say funny, and then you would again tell the person why you think you're funny, and then click the mouse, and the next word, very good looking, obviously take a look at me, you would say a little bit about very good looking, and then click the mouse again, and it would tell you, and it'll give you the third bullet. But you don't want them all coming in at once. Now let's take a look at what my slides look like in the slides panel right here. You could see the corner here will tell me I have a transition, and the upper right hand side will have 3 dots, and that will tell me that I do have a build on these slides. If I look down here, I should have builds on 3, 4, and 5, so I'm going to do that now. Go ahead and make sure you have builds on every bullet. You don't necessarily need the title up here, but the bullets should be built in all by the bullet. Okay, I'm just checking my slides here. I have builds and transitions on each one of my slides, and they are consistently throughout the presentation. Now it's time to do images.